So thanks for joining in again. I've been on the dolly and just seem to get a bit of downside movement again. So let's see. We've just had this sort of sideways action. I mean, since I sort of entered yesterday, which was around here somewhere. It's just been moving sideways, but my sort of stop is just above these highs. It's at 726 to be precise. So literally, yeah. So just above that spike there. But yeah, hopefully this will be a bit of downside kick. I think I probably will come out around 400. Just because of this 200, it is moving sideways unless there is a serious bit of momentum that kicks in. Otherwise, I'll take it. But like I say, I'm not too concerned at these levels. Definitely more downside. I'm going to break through all of the time frames because, as I mentioned, something I spent quite a bit of time over the weekend doing was just reviewing everything, toning back in, because the last few weeks have been so busy that I've had a lot of time to just focus on trading, which is what I would prefer to be doing. So I'm going to take some time, maybe back over that. Yeah, I mean, the beauty is, we don't need a big one. I mean, if it does break these highs, then it's probably going to go higher, maybe up to 109. So I can just re-enter there. There's no need to risk more than have to. But I mean, because of this sideways action, it hasn't got anywhere near it really. And yeah, I mean, the take profit is here because I just see this 200 as being potentially a slowdown. And so I'm just a bit bored of the trade, in honesty. I'd like to just take some profit and get on something else. Gold, I've missed a couple of really good opportunities with gold being in this trade, so would like to try and free up the money. Yeah, and I'm going to break down these higher time frames because you can see that it could be a longer term trade, most definitely. But the question is always the but. We don't know what exactly is going to happen. So glad to just see this downside move coming in. Hopefully we can break this sort of 500 mark and head to the downside. Fingers crossed there's be some money popping into yen because pounds are dropping a little bit against the yen, and gold has been picking up a little bit. Let's do this high time frame first. So let's start with this monthly. Monthly is the only conflicting one that I see. As you can see, last month was bullish. This month has sort of had a low test and pushed to the upside. Can't see it breaking much above there, but overall, potentially building up a bit of pressure for a more of an upside move. 20 is about to cross the 50, and so price is definitely playing to the downside in the near term. The weekly I really liked. So what I saw was this test of the 50 and ended up below the close of last week. So it looked like the bears were taking control and we're going to push price down. And that is what I've entered on because I just see that as being that cap. That 109 level there's a few things in play, which you'll see as we break down the lower time frames. But I think we could see a kind of reversal here and break back below the 20 and potentially back to these lows. Potentially back to sort of 105, 107 in the near term. There's definitely 108, which is my original first target. But just because of how slow it's been, that I think there is better opportunities there at the moment. If some momentum kicks in, then by all means, I will leave the trade. And it's sort of given me extra confidence because we had momentum here, have these big momentum weekly candles, and then last week and this week, so far, has been not a lot of activity. So it does show that the bulls have run out of steam to this move. So we should see some downside. It has been relatively sideways, but this is, you know, we could put in a trend line here, which sort of indicates moving to the downside, and just trying to break those lower levels. So mouse is going particularly slow, but that is what I really liked. Now I'm going to go on to the daily. So on the daily, that weekly sort of doji and star that we saw is effectively this part here, where it's come to the upside and come back down and ended up around level. This was Friday's candle. So it, as I say, moved up, come back down. It rejected this area, which is the 200, and it seemed to sort of come up, retested it today, and now finally might be getting a move to the downside. But again, what you could say we're seeing here is a bull flag, and potentially for a bigger move up. But the daily 20 is so close, and everything else that just tells me that because it's rejecting that, could just at least get down to there. I mean, it looks like it started, you know, to the move that's going to be pushing it to the upside. But I you know, short term, I can see this level coming in, and I just expected to see it quicker than what's happening. Maybe today's the start of it. Maybe we can get some momentum there. I think the markets have been quiet in general just because of Brexit, etc. So need to be taken into account, as I say, the higher time frames, the weekly, the daily, looking good for a bit of downside. Okay, so let's go back to the daily just to cover that point. So you were looking here as in this is the head and shoulder. Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see why you've seen that. In my experience, this has now played to the neckline. So where we've got head, shoulder, this area and this 109 level has proved to be resistance, and that also lines up with what is the neckline. So it's sort of had its move to the upside. You know, if you'd entered here on the shoulder on the break up here and held it to here, that would be a good exit and definitely a good trade to that point. It has failed to push back above as of yet. So either we're going to see another pullback, like I said, potentially to the daily 20 because we haven't had that retested yet, and then a push to the upside, or it's going to mean for more downside. But yeah, I can see the pattern there. Correct, and that is what makes it not a standard head and shoulders. Precisely that, which is why the common factor is definitely this sort of neckline at 109 level, which is where it sort of played back to. So, you know, I think this first shoulder here and here, you know, sort of look good. There was a double here, a double here. You know, this one was just a bit overextended, but the closes are pretty much in line with it. But yeah, normally you would just get one spike to the downside and then the shoulder. This is a bit of a Notre Dame hunchback of head and shoulders, but nonetheless, you know, it pulled up to the upside here. But I think that could be the end of the move for now, anyway. So I think a little pullback is needed. And as I sort of mentioned on the group during the week, there's a lot of talks about US cutting rates again, and just there's not a lot of positivity around the dollar at the moment. So we could see, you know, a bit more downside before anything else happens. So we have to sort of play to what we see. So I'm glad you took that trade, and that's what you saw, and that's what you acted on. So good work on that. And you know, that's the only way you're gonna see over the long run what works best for you and what plays out the most. So nothing wrong with that at all. If I break down to 4 hour, I'll stop using that mouse because I think the battery is running low. It's being incredibly slow for me. So the 4 hour it does look like it's trending up, but I do think this is in need of a pullback, which is what I was sort of playing on for this move back down. Now this could be a higher high, and we need to see a lower low, a higher low, sorry, and then that will confirm an uptrend movement. But I think once we break that 4 hour 50, that is where we're going to see some. That's where you will see some momentum, if any. But this is why I'm sort of dubious about trying to take it past the 108.4 level at the moment. But it definitely just rejected the 4 hour 20, and instinct says it should be ticking back down to here. So we will see how that plays out. Tomorrow I am doing my best to sit on my hands and just let it play instead of taking the small amount of profit. It's been hovering between 10 and 20 pips profit, so I'm happy to just let it run for now, and we'll see where it goes. But the 1 hour we've had a bit of a burst of downside, rejected the 20 and the 50, so this could push towards this 200, which lines up with the 4 hour 50. So that would be ideal. Let's see what the next hour or two brings. Now, before I move on to some of the other stuff I've been looking at, have you guys seen any trades or taken anything, or anything you want us to go over that could be fresh in your mind first? Gold, good man. Okay, take a look at gold. My favourite. So, yeah, I mean, I think so. What I've been looking at is obviously yesterday when we mentioned gold, we'd rejected some levels and could see it moving to the upside, which I said to you guys about buying. And let's show you what has happened. So we had this rejection again at the 80s level, and that is what pushed it to the upside. Now it's failed to break this trend line, but at 88 earlier I would have looked to short it, which would have played out really well, and I think we're going to come back down to the 81 sort of level, and it really is a matter of if we break that and get some kind of retest, we could be seeing a lot further downside. So this is where price action's been in this sort of downtrend, and I think overall I'm still bullish. I think all of this move is just a pullback for the last month or two. We've had a big upside movement, but we've only had the 1-2 touches on the bottom of this channel before we move to the upside, and I think if we break this, we could come down to retest this channel before a bit of a monster move to the upside and continue the bullish trend which has been there for some time. So at the moment we've got the 50 and the 20s all below the 200 on the 4 hour and the lower time frame at the moment. So it was a good trade to take the 84, 85 up to the 88 mark yesterday, and today I think the 88 has been a good trade to take to the downside. You can see just going across the cursor there, there's plenty of support resistance at 88, broken back below the trend line, and this is going to be the sort of first stop and target, this 81 level. We do get that break and retest. Definitely be looking for a short, but let's see. And in terms of the lower time frames, like the 5 minutes, what we've been having is some very good retests of the EMAs and working in favour. So once we got some momentum move after that level, we did stay above the 50 and just move to the upside. Yesterday the pullback was sort of here, where this is where we were saying this is a good buy at this level, and did move up to the 88s, then broke back under, and it was this morning. Where was we this morning? Where we'd sort of pushed. It was up here, wasn't it, actually? So we were pushing above, playing off of the 50, and not managing to get above. And that's what I message said. I'm waiting for the break and retest for sort of clarification. And then we got this impulse move sort of to the downside. Once we had this spike up before spiking back down, got the double tops, broke down, got the retest, signed up with the trend line, all the EMAs. And it's just continued to push down. So even the lower time frames just sort of confirmed what we've been looking at, and what tells us essentially that we should essentially be seeing some kind of move further to the downside here. I don't know what I've just done there, but it's done something with this. Just zoomed out or something. Yeah, that's where I think we could be heading. So interested to see what happens at the 80 mark. I don't know how to exit what I've just done there. I'm going to try. I'm just going to try and open it back up because it's going to make my eyes go funny. $7 o'clock is the Brexit vote, so yeah, we might not hear for a little while after that. So yeah, I mean, let's see what comes from it. I personally, I think they're just going to kick it out again. Everyone's trying to do whatever they can to get this, extension and squash the deal, whatever it is. I mean, I would love to know what's in it and see what's actually been got by BJ. But none of us are privy to it, so let's see. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would be out now and waiting to see what happens, especially if you're long, because if they do get something good on Brexit this evening, then you can expect to see this tank below and retest and be gone. So I mean, if you're happy to, I'd say just move your stops below. Put your stops at 79, leave it to play long and see what happens. If it takes them out, then it's definitely coming to the downside. At least you capture risk. If you're not comfortable with that, then come out and wait and see what happens. Because tomorrow morning, either way, there will be momentum in the markets. So even this evening, there will be some momentum. So we can see what sort of happens. But it's strongly rejected the 4 hour 20 at the moment, and so. This is coming to the downside, technically speaking. Well, let's see what Brexit does have in store. Let's see if there's any little updates on it. No, it's the latest. Thinking about this 10-day Brexit delay, but only if they say that it's final extension. So I think it is a game of cat and mouse. I just can't see them in the Houses sort of agreeing and accepting his deal. Otherwise they would have done it the other day. So I just think that's going to get thrown out. Pound Yen, I was glad to see had a pull back earlier on. I think like I say, I've been waiting for that 139.5 to come back in, because 140 didn't seem enough. And for me, in honesty, earlier on, I was sort of expecting to see a break back below, which it could do through the night, and then we'll see where it ends up. But depends on this though. Could put it back to 139.5. I think the chances of bad exit from the EU are getting slimmer and slimmer. I think things are stacking up in our favour, and I think that they should just get on with the deal and get it done and dusted and get on with everything else. But we'll see. We'll see. Big upside targets for pound when this all gets done. So to break that down, so on the daily, hovering around this one, which is 139.5, 149 being an area of interest. As you can see, multiple areas of resistance, but we've had a good leg up. Could, you know, depending on what this deal is, it could be seen as bad for us, and it could tank it a little bit. But you know, there's some resistance. We're going to see 143 here, 0.89. But yeah, once we get past 142, 143.8, so there's, you know, a few hundred pips there. That's the halfway mark, and I sort of expect us to pull back then, and then potentially move up to 149, which would be ideal. So plenty of opportunities for longs. You know, if we get something positive and starts motoring to the upside, then, you know, I'll be getting in, might stop, and letting it play, because as you've seen with those other days, it can just carry on. The moment it's been respecting the 4-hour 20, so we could see a good bit of momentum. Weekly indicates we should have a little pullback potentially to the 50, but that's a bit of good news. I don't see us coming back down that far. So yeah, it's high targets, very high targets, but very achievable. So this is where we're sat on the monthly 20. But like I'm saying, we're going to need a real good bit of news to push us up to these levels. This is where 44. We've got some support to turn resistance. So let's see how it plays out. But yeah, keep an eye on pound yen. And as I mentioned, that is why I took dollar, because I just thought there is some good news with pound. It's going to push that to the upside, and I prefer the technicals on the dollar yen. Definitely look like it, you know, it rejected these areas like the 200 and slowing down rather than pushed on through it like the pound. So let's see what prevails. Is there anything else you guys are looking at before we run through a general watch list? Euro NZD. So I did have my eye on the euros. It's majorly moved. I really missed the move, in honesty. But so what we had was this rejection candle, and the first. This one I started looking when we got this first kind of reversal candle. As you can see, when we've had it typically before, it's is prevailed. We've seen some downside. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You know, not only have we got the trend line which we've sort of highlighted in previous sessions, but additionally, right now we're sort of rejecting this daily 50. So could very well, you know, the 20 still above the 50. So it's very much still bullish, if anything. I mean, if we take a look at these higher time frames, it's just the weekly that puts me off. You know, massive rejection, move to the downside. Even that monthly, big high test, especially with pound and stuff. That we could see euro tank. You know, could see big move to the downside from where it's been. And much as this is worth it's you know, it's potentially worth trying. You know, put stop below the low. See if it runs back up to the 20 or maybe 75 here, before moving more to the downside. But higher time frames are looking bearish. I mean, this last few days has wiped out the last week odd of trading. So just bear that in mind. There's a lot of momentum to the downside. Could push further all the way down to the 200. So definitely bear that in mind. But you know, this move's sort of back. I mean, if we look on the lower time frames, if we did get a nice break and retest on the daily, though, that would be awesome. That keeps happening. But yeah, I had to fall down to here. Looks like we might get a chance, you know, retest on there. Where's the 4 hour? It's going to be close. 4 hours crossed over. Retest around this area would be nice to continue the downside move. I mean, it hasn't broken below this 4 hour 200 since 12th of September. In fact, it's now broken down. Could mean we're going to see a retest and continuation to the downside. So yeah, if you're going to do any kind of long, definitely tight stops just below the lows. Takes it out, then you know, accept it. It's heading on a lot lower. Yeah, this 1 hour 50 lines up at that 4 hour 20 as well.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that could be a good area to short from for Euro NZD. That's what I would favour. Over short or long. Euro Aussie's looking the same. Euro Aussie a bit more developed actually. 20's crossed over the 200. Yeah, we've had the retest of the 50 and rejected. So Euro Aussie looking good for the downside. Looking very good to downside to the 200. Let's go to weekly. Yeah, I mean we could see this push down to the trend line and these lows. So could be a very good move if we do get a break. If we do get a break of this trend line, could mean a very, very, very big drop, meaning minimum down to 1.40 and potentially down to the lows. That's obviously a very long-term move, but nonetheless very possible. Pulling back to the weekly 20, so let's see if the week closes above or below. Be interesting to see. But from the lower time frames, again, like Euro NZD, definitely looking good for more downside. Are you guys seeing what I'm seeing there, or got any sort of different opinion, or seeing it in a different light? Yeah. I mean, and that sort of upward channel trend line is what we'd identified before in previous sessions. I think we are getting this break. It's definitely a good idea to look, for that area to be retested. Now, I'm just going to get the old fibs out for this because I think this could be. So we have got a rejection on the 618. You look at that, if we take the highest point, still lines up, so I would favour that over it. But yeah, I think we've had a good rejection here, and could potentially be looking for a bigger move to the downside. Based on those fibs. So yeah, I think definitely be a good idea looking for those longs. Let's see what we can get here. So we take something like that. Could mean that we've broken below retesting and going to look to break lower. Again, it would be nice to get a pullback to the 4-hour 20 and 200, then continue short, but maybe it's just not going to get there. And the 1 hour is projecting now, so projected to 1 hour 50. As it has done there. That was the ideal entries. Retest when they got the 50 and the 200. That is a picture perfect move, really. But yeah, I mean, I definitely see some downside. Okay. Any of the other euros or anything guys want me to look at? So because I sort of have a dollar weakness bias right now, much as I think it's trending to the downside, probably going to have more downside to these lows. I just would like to see a pullback. I think this is a bit overextended. I think it's due a little pullback. I thought today was going to be the start of it. If we look at the lower time frames, we did get sort of movements to the upside. I was thinking, maybe it's where the pullback's going to happen, but it didn't actually get anywhere near these levels. So I just thought it's just going to carry on going down. I mean, obviously got a nice retest of the 4-hour 20 and dropped again. So I think it is just lining up for heading back to those lows, which are down here on 0.302. It's not 60 pips away. But yeah, it would have been nice to get an entry here at this 314 level, which is what lines up with the EMAs on the lower time frames, at least. But yeah, didn't just hasn't happened. I do see downside. I just think this is going to continue to the downside, and this is why I'm like I said, I have been favouring the weak dollar. So I'm hoping that this dollar yen prevails for us, but we'll see. Dollar chuff is always an interesting one. Because the chuff moves similarly to the euro, but what I liked about this was we'd sort of had this breakdown and was getting a pullback. So what we're seeing here is a nice pullback, and I'll show you the old fibs. Are looking great. So by the time it does pull up here, I think they're going to be at 0.382, and I think this is, this is setting up really nicely for a mega move to the downside. And yeah, I think we could be just back down to these lows. I just think there's a good 100 pip move in there. On the lower time frames, we broke down, haven't had the retest of 4-hour 50 yet. So again, here, I think 4-hour lines up. Again, it's all creeping towards that 0.382. I think there is a good short to be had. The dollar chuff. The 1 hour's trading a little bit to the upside, but that's only because we'll probably do this sort of bit of upside movement. This 1 hour 200 lines up with the 400 with the 4 hour, sorry. The 4-hour 50 here, and we've got the dailies, which just about 900. The daily is just about 9900. So this is definitely one I'm watching. Haven't done that, but yes, definitely one I'm looking for the short side of the dollar chuff. I think that is one of the better moves that we're seeing at the moment. How's that look to you guys? We've got a breakout of this channel here. And then your thoughts on those. That's my favourite one of the dollars. Good. And it's always good to be conflicting as well, guys. If you are seeing something else, do share, because between us all, everyone sees things differently. I just think that yes, this is looking good. I mean, this time didn't work out when it broke down and retested, didn't happen. But here, when we've got the big breakdown, retested, continued, retested, continued, breakdown, retested, did break down, but then continue back to the upside. I just think, yeah, this could be a nice move in the making. We'll see. Still keeping that a little bit of movement still in dollar yen. New Zealand dollar yen. We have had today this, and so what I am looking for tomorrow is to see how this is closed. If it closes something like this, sort of inverse hammer, high test. If we get a little bit of red, again, that's going to be looking good for a downside move. So, and we look to be ticking down a bit, which is great. So, 4 hour, we're breaking down here. We've got the 20 in the way first of all, but I'm not too concerned about that. I want to see a break and retest to the 1 hour, and then take it down to the 4-hour 50. So we're now rejecting this 1 hour 20, which looks good. I like this a lot. We get the break retest to the 1 hour continuation. Target's going to be the 4 hour. So 69.5 down to 68.8. So good 70 pips good 70 pip move to the downside potentially there, guys. So we'll keep an eye out for. I'm expecting in the morning, depending on how it's sort of closed. I mean, with New Zealand dollar pairs, this 5 minute is subject to. So what I'd like to see in the morning is we've pulled down and retested and come back up, and then all of a sudden we get a bit more selling in the morning when we get a break and retest on the 5 minute, which gives us an entry. I mean, if you look in the mornings on this pair in particular, it's still, it still plays. You've got had the impulse move, pulled up, make sure you get that rejection, and then end the short, but obviously have the 200 in the way, but it's respected that all day. So I think this should be moving to the downside, hopefully to the 4 hour. As I say, I think it is looking good. It's looking good. You could call this a head and shoulders. So you've got the head, shoulder. It just gets this breakdown, comes back up, and then breaks down. It's a nice shoulder. And yeah, I mean that neckline is down here, so potentially where we could be heading. But the higher time frames obviously are bullish, but it's the daily I'm most interested in. I want to see that close. I want to see the 1 hour 50 break and retest, which will confirm. Rejecting the weekly 20 is what sort of happened today, which we had here, and then big drop. So potentially down to the lows, but maybe further. But it's all sign up for a strong yen, and again backs up the case of the weaker dollar yen. CAD yen is very similar as well. Yeah, it's another one that I've been keeping an eye on. What do you guys think of New Zealand dollar yen, or any other ideas on it? The 4 hour 50, so I think that is, I tend to find with New Zealand dollar yen, it does like playing to my sort of IPO strategy, so I think we'll probably get some kind of a breakdown and come up and retest on the 1 hour, but this is sort of 4 hour 50, so it might end up around 69, but at the moment it's looking low. I mean, you have got some support and resistance here, so yeah, 69, so potentially 40-50 pips for the first target. And remember, if we do get that break and retest of the 4 hour 50, then it's looking to at least a daily trend, which should line up here. So total move could be well over 100 pips, which would line up with this. So it could be a very good move if we get the 4 hour break and retest. But I'd like to see the 1 hour, but see the 1 hour happen first, because today, we might just pop back to the upside. We might test this 1 hour 50, pop to the upside and continue. So it is really important to just wait and see what happens tomorrow. See how it closes tonight, which I've sort of been monitoring about 10 o'clock. But again, could be it's a good looking trade. CAD-yen's always similar to say, but I just prefer trading New Zealand dollar yen over that. And CHF yen is again very similar, but it doesn't play to the strategies as well as others. So we have had this breakdown. We're testing the 20, could be coming down to the 50, but it just moves a bit slower. New Zealand dollar yen does like to move. So there's probably 20 pips there in that one, whereas we've got much bigger much bigger target, much bigger potential move in New Zealand dollar. Even as much as candles, you know, patterns, it just plays out better on New Zealand dollar yen for some reason. I don't know why that is. But I just found over time that does happen. Come on, the dollar. See, gold's ticking up a bit. It'll be interesting. I think we've only got 10 minutes till this sort of boat starts. I wonder if there's any updates on the news. No, nothing else yet. I'm quite quiet. I've set some alerts on Twitter for Boris Johnson, just so that if anything gets said, we'll try and take advantage of it. Pound seems to tick back up a little bit, so people are being hopeful. I think they should just get it passed, but history has mostly been prevailing in terms of it just not happening. And government doing what they can to block it. So we'll see how it plays out for sure. Let's have a look at the Aussie pairs. So Aussie yen as well, looking like the other yen pairs, looking like potential reversal day. You know, this closes off like this, that's going to look really good for tomorrow for the shorts. You know, just on that break and retest at 1 hour 50, it's so close that it's either going to pop to the upside or pop to the downside. So patience is going to be key, but tomorrow could provide some good entries. Yeah, I think Aussie yen's looking the best out of the Aussie pairs. Do any of you guys trade any of the Aussies or? Okay. Yeah, I mean they're interesting. They don't always move as much as others. I mean you can see by the candles how small they are in comparison to other options we have. So you know, I tend not to too much. Euro Aussie moves. Okay. Yeah, Euro Aussie it moves. Yeah, I mean it's good. You know, if you can pick a handful of pairs and indices, etc., whatever it may be that you like to sort of trade, then definitely worth sticking to it. Let's have a look at the indices. I haven't been paying attention to them because you know the last few days we have just had this we're stuck in this sort of box, but you know we seem to be rejecting this daily 20 here and potentially moving to the upside, but no real movement above 27.4 yet. Let's see what the monthly looks like. Yeah, I mean I do see. Really looks like it could be coming back to the downside. It's the Dow monthly. What a candle, but we get those, especially in the Dow. It's just wild. Hasn't been a monthly close above. Yeah, it is, which should be meaning there's maybe some information coming out. So it's probably more probable. It's more probable that it gets blocked again than anything else. So I think your longs could be safe for tonight, and maybe come back out at 88 where it's a safe area. Yeah, the DAX been sort of hovering around these levels too. What's that one there? Just not a lot of movement. Not a lot of movement in the indices. Waiting to see what happens, I guess. Well, getting a bit of a pop to the downside on dollar yen. Pound yen moving to the upside though as well. Gold moving up and pound yen moving up. That is an odd one. But dollar yen tickling down. So we like that. We like this a lot. So let's see. Let's see how low can you go. We've had a lower high, so it should be a lower low. But like I say, I'm tempted to just come out of the 0.4 mark. So how's everything else trading wise, guys? I'll use the next few minutes just to go over homing on anything. And see, I mean, I've been working on myself and trying to get back into the multi-time frame analysis, because I must have been busy here and there and everywhere. It's been difficult and sort of scalping, looking for those smaller moves, but still been working. It would be nice to a few trades that have been bigger, where I've been holding them longer, which has been great. Something I've been trying to do. I mean, the last few trades, obviously the pound yen longs. Last week we had the pound yen longs, and we had the big gold short last Friday or Friday before. It had some good moves, but it has been pretty quiet this week, and last few sort of trading days, as it were. So yeah, but I've been trying to get back to multi-time frame analysis. Try and spend some more time on the charts where I can. On the weekends, they've helped me do that. So there's always work to be done, guys. Always work. So what about yourselves? Anywhere that you've been trying to focus your efforts, psychologically or just manually? And you guys sort of go back over anything, back testing and sort of journaling and seeing what you could have done different. Let's have a look. Let's have a look at gold next. Yeah, so right now, see, we're rejecting the 200. That's what's happening. It's a 10-10. Okay, so yeah, this is the buy you did on the 5-minute 50. Yeah, good stuff. Don't give it back. It's hard enough to get it. Don't give it back. That really is the key. So no, glad you're sort of forming that mindset. So Kevin, on this, let's have a look here. This closes down. Yeah, I think it was just unfortunate. In honesty, I do think that's all it was. I mean, it's moving to the upside. It was just this sort of trend line that was rejected and squeezed back to the downside. But it could have taken 20 pips out, which is sometimes just the target to have. Something nice and small. But yeah, I mean, it was trending to the upside. The move would have been, the earlier push to the upside, which was the sort of moment here. But you know, it didn't get to the 5 minutes, so you know, just one of those things. A lot of the time it does, but it found a rejection at resistance 86, and then pushed up to 88, getting, you know, 20 pips. So that's all we can do sometimes. Interesting to see if this will push to the upside. My gut instinct says it's going to break back down, retest, and then continue down. But let's see. Hopefully not. But yeah, I think if you take the mornings, the problem has been is it's got to line up with the dailies, and so psychologically you've got to see that there's been a bullish day or whatever, and then sort of go with that flow. I mean, on gold, it has been very compressed. There's not been a lot of momentum really the last few days, so it's been difficult to gauge in the mornings. You know, this last sort of, how many trading days have we got there? 6 attempts. So say like the last 10 days really has been you know, pretty sideways. So when you've got momentum and you've got, you know, these moves to the upside and downside, the 5 minute in the morning works brilliantly, but it's just very undecisive. So you need to try and have it play to the strengths essentially. But yeah, we'll see. See how it plays out. As I say, I would love to see this pushed upside, and I think what's forming here is a kind of bull flag where we will see eventually a push to the upside. It's just I favour a leg to the downside before the upside, but that's only if we break this 81 level and, you know, see a retest. If we don't, then, you know, maybe we'll get the squeeze above and push to the upside. Time will tell with that one. Yeah, so just what you're saying there about the temptation and get back in. I mean, that is just FOMO. And I must admit, like, what, you know, been stuck in this dollar trade. At least it's running a profit, but it has been a bit boring and missed other opportunities that I could have taken. But my mindset thing has been leave a trade, let it play out, whatever way it's going to do it, and see the result at the end. And so you know, this is why I'm just letting it run, and we'll let it play out. But yeah, there is some opportunities coming up, you know, and I definitely think over the next day or two we'll find some. Additionally, on pound, you know, we get some good news and some momentum. I mean, look, pound's rocketed up, so I guess we're assuming the vote's going to be passed. That's what I'm assuming. But if it does, then you know what to do. Every 1 hour 20 pullback, or if it comes to the 50, just get those longs in. You know, just keep riding this out until we hit some resistance, which I think, as we said, is about 143. So look on the daily. Yeah, 143.8. So, you know, it's going to be plenty of pullback and long opportunities along the way. You know, there's probably a lot of people buying in now, seeing this spiking up, thinking, oh, it's definitely happening, and blah, 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 blah. You know, never get sucked into it. Just don't give it back. Don't give it back. Just be patient and see. Because as I said, if we get that, we do get the market move, whatever way it is, whether you know, we do get the vote passed, it's going to push the upside and it's going to pull back. Yes, you might get in at a high price, but at least you've had confirmation, and that's pretty valuable. Patience is key. You know, try not to ever let yourself feel like you're missing out and you've got to jump in, because that's just trading with emotion. Yeah. So, yeah. Could get this tick up that we want, but yeah, as you can see, you know, it's going nuts with orders. So it's a good thing. I mean, look, you could have bought on the 4-hour 20 earlier and be up nearly 100 pips right now. You know, even just since we've been sat here earlier, it went down to 140.3. Would have been could have been an opportunity, but as I say, you know, 1.372, you know, would have been a nice 60 pips. But it's important not to feel like you're missing out. You know, as I say, we want confirmation, because imagine if something bad comes out now, and you're up here along, it's gonna tank. It'll probably gap. Probably be some kind of gapping. Let's see if there's anything. No. And then, you know, your stops aren't gonna count for anything. It's just gonna wipe you out. So this is why it's key to be patient. Okay. Well, guys, I guess if there's nothing else, I'm going to be keeping an eye on the voting, see what updates we get, see what happens in the markets while everything's downloading, and I'll get it uploaded to the page. And then, yeah, we'll see what comes out tomorrow. But I'll be back on the charts this evening. Feel free to do the same if you wish. And yeah, we'll see what's happened. And let's try and catch some momentum tomorrow. And yeah, I mean, I think it's on the agenda straight away. So I can't see that it's going to be too long, but you know, it's just not saying anything there. So let's see. Twitter will be the one. Twitter will pop up with something. I always use it. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, until then, guys, trade safe. Keep an eye on everything, and we'll catch up later or in the morning, and hope to catch some momentum. So have a good evening, guys, and speak soon. All the best.